Hello, Immanuel family. I wanted to check in with you here in the middle of May to just do a couple of things, let you see some of the folks that I get to work with here at Immanuel. One of the great blessings of coming here is this team that's on the platform today. All of them love the church. They love you. They work hard. They're gifted. They do their ministry, and they do it best when you come alongside them and encourage them and pray for them. But those of you who work in some of these ministries know what's going on. You've seen the things happening, and we felt like it was just time to celebrate some of what God's up to here at Immanuel Baptist Church. He has not left us. It's been more than a year without a pastor, and look at the things God's doing. He is renewing. He is restoring. He is bringing joy and celebration back into the church, and we want to tap into that because God is a God of joy. And he tells us to rejoice always. So here's some things that we're rejoicing about. I want to rejoice in the opportunity to serve you, the opportunity to break God's word open Sunday by Sunday and on Wednesday nights. I want to rejoice because, as I said a moment ago, I get to work with these great folks around the circle. And I want to rejoice because of some of the relationships that I'm beginning to forge with some of you. So let's hear some of what God is doing in some of these ministries. Ross, tell us what's happening in your area of ministry.
Yeah, and appreciate what you said about our staff, but I think we all feel the same towards you. Thankful for the opportunity to get to know you during this season and the way that you're serving our church, so very thankful for that. A few things came to my mind. It's been neat the last couple of months. There's been baptisms nearly every Sunday, and I've gotten a chance to be a part of those. Each one is special. And it touches my heart to not only get to hear the people being baptized, their stories, but just to hear our church celebrate those. It's been really encouraging to me, and then also just the people who are being baptized. I know they're uplifted by it. Another thing that part of my role at the church is to help welcome first-time guests, and so we have guests that come every Sunday. I get a chance to follow up with them, have conversations, hear about their experience. And it's neat to hear how people come. They're coming because they were invited by a friend or from family. And hearing them, they all have great experiences. They say how welcoming our church is. Anyone who goes to a Sunday school class, they talk about how those classes go above and beyond to make them feel welcome. So that's just encouraging to me. Also, a little update on counseling ministry. I get to do that quite a bit, roughly about 5 to 10 people, cases going on. Get to meet with kids and teens and adults. Variety of issues, but just some of the most common I get to see are some marriage counseling and also grief counseling. Then also handling some decisions and emotions. And for me, it's just a joy. I get to hear people's detailed stories and get to try to minister God's word directly and just practical advice in those situations, and it's just it's just a joy to see people walk through hard things and want to be faithful in it. It's really special. So, and then last thing, just a personal thing for me and my family. One of the things we started here lately is just some dads of third grade boys. I have a Luke who's a third grader, and so some dads and sons are just getting together. Once every 2 months, we are playing together. We're having a dad share a testimony. And then we're just putting our hands on our boys and praying over them. And it's just a neat thing for dads to get to know each other better. But also for our boys at church, they're building friendships that we think will last them through their rest of their kid years and student ministry years. So neat thing. And then maybe I'm taking up too much time here. But last thing is we're starting a college ministry this summer. So some college students eager to love on each other, get to hang out, and have Bible study together. So
that's fantastic. And as you can see, Ross takes a lot of initiative in what he does. What needs to be addressed? Well, let's address it. So thank you for doing that and leading the way, and then involving the church family and coming alongside and making it happen. We love senior adults at Immanuel, or legacy adults. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult anyone. We love you so much that we have 2 people who work with you, 2 excellent guys who, when you see them, you'll realize they do understand being senior adult. And I just want you guys, Gary and Alan, y'all are a treasure. You even make me feel young. And so anyway, so take a minute and let us know what God's stirring up in among our legacy adults.
Okay, well, I'll kind of get this started, and I know Alan will chime in with things, but one of the things that I guess God really spoke to me about as far as working with our legacy adults is I wanted to know the people who have given so much of their lives to this church, to the Lord through the ministry of this church, and that's our legacy adults. And by the way, that's a pretty broad age group. It starts at age 55 and goes all the way up until right now. Martha Brown's 107. So it takes a pretty good span there, and it is the largest age group segment in our church. So, but legacy adults also, they love this church. They love one another. They love our young adults. They love to see these children coming to Christ and being baptized. They love to see our preschoolers. They volunteer with preschoolers. And they work in the ministry center. They provide all kinds of hours of just ministry. But they have a good time together, too. They like to do City Center Presents. They have a fun time because they love each other. They love this church, and they love that opportunity to bring other people who are not a part of this family to show what it's like to have a good time as legacy adults in Immanuel. So, Alan, I know you're doing a lot with our legacy adults as well.
Yeah, everyone was concerned about taking too long. And there was lots of comments before we started about, when to shut it off. I heard your message. I don't care. I would start by commenting on something Ross said about the father-son stuff. I had the opportunity the last time they did that to bring my third grade grandson, and it was a Nerf war, which again reminded me why young people have children. It was hard, but we had a blast. Thank you, Ross. That's a very important thing. Talking about legacy, we specifically wanted to talk about points of celebration and wins, and I think we've had a lot of wins. We've had 18 people homebound who are very faithful to tuning in to Linda Jordan's tele-Bible lesson every week. But they can't get out, they can't drive. We had the opportunity to take the Lord's Supper to them and celebrate with them where they were. Like I said, 18 of them. And of course, the oldest, as Gary mentioned, Martha Brown. I think it's fair to call her the matriarch of the church. She told me it had been over 20 years since she had the opportunity to celebrate the Lord's Supper. So that was a big deal for them. Also, and that I have to give a shout out to Ron Madding, one of our deacons, who very graciously has stepped up and helped me with that. I think other deacons will shortly get involved. Also, some deacons have stepped forward, Ken Shue, Chuck Brown, and some others to begin to drive the van to the Parkway Village living, where a lot of those folks can come who can't drive. They're still mobile, but they can't drive. And I'm happy to say the van holds 14. In the first week we did it, we had 14 people come. And since then, we've averaged about 12. So that's good. We had a great legacy conference in the spring with Dr. Carter. We're going to do a little different take on that in the fall. We're going to call it Life Skills, where we talk about the dietary, exercise, all the unique needs that are unique to the legacy age group. So I hope you'll keep your antenna open, tuned in for that. And of course, the thing that matters most to the legacy, we are trying to put together a trip to Branson. Because we are all pretty sure that when Jesus comes back,
we want to chaperone over here.
He's going to go there first, and so we want to be sure and be available for that. And one final thing, and it's an appropriate transition to my little sister here. We have, Alice and I have worked out a deal where we are going to partner the Legacy Sunday School classes with the Youth Sunday School classes. Each group will pick out one Sunday school class and pray for them especially by name. And the legacy folks are charged up because, as has already been said, they love young people. They're not a bunch of crotchety old folks. No, they love the young people. They love seeing these baptisms, especially of the young people, and they're anxious to get on board with what's to come in youth.
I love it. Thank you. That was a great transition into yes, Alan and Gary, y'all really are all stars because, we've all been through this kind of transitional season together. And that's one thing I feel like in the youth, I have felt so supported by y'all and y'all's group. I mean, there are so many legacy people in my mind that I call up or could call up and ask, I need some help with this. With the students, I'm trying to get this, and they've been so encouraging to me. And that's what I love about Immanuel. It really is such a multi-generational place, and students especially, they need to see that. They do. I mean, it's been wonderful. It's been a tough, obviously, for everyone past, I guess, year to year and a half, but since we're kind of turning a corner, especially in students, I can look back and I can recognize how the Lord had just had his hand in my life and in our ministry. And there's so many stories I could share. It was really actually hard for me to think of specifics because I feel like there's so many. I mean, the student ministry, we're still continuing to grow. A lot of students are getting baptized. That's been a huge part of it. And a lot of them are asking really good questions. Even though our youth is, I guess you'd say, maybe smaller than it was 2 years ago, the students that are there, they are so faithful and they're learning and they're growing. And just even through the transition, they haven't left. They're making good friends. It's really, I feel like we're on a mountaintop right now. We just hired a new student pastor. Just praising the Lord for that. That's been amazing. Some specific stories, I guess, within the student ministry that we can kind of celebrate. One would be, this is kind of related to legacy again too, but D-Now this past, I guess, fall, our service project activity kind of fell through that I had originally intended for us to do. And it was probably literally the week of D-Now. And I was like, we've got 3 hours. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these students. And I just texted Gary and thought maybe there's like some legacy people that maybe need their yard raked, or what could we do? What can we do with we've got all these students. And he was so quick. He responded and he gave me a list and he told me everybody that lived in whichever nursing facility they were at. He sent them to me. And so we were able to go visit a lot of those people that were homebound. And the students loved that. I mean, they talked about it. Old people love that. They had really funny stories. I won't share all of them, but it was funny. Like their responses to things were just hilarious. But it was really good. In our little group, one lady thought that we were coming there to sing to her, and we weren't. None of us were there to sing. We were just there to.
So did she sing to you?
She did. We were like, all right, y'all, let's go. And we just started singing to him. It was hilarious. And then we confessed. We're like, we're not here to sing. We're just here to visit you. And it was hilarious. But yeah, so that was such a huge win. And that's the culture that we're trying to really foster down there. Dr. Gocher came recently and shared her testimony in missions. And we had a couple of students that feel called to missions that kind of came forward and were asking us questions about that. And it's just trickles here and there, but it's so encouraging to see that some of those students really are on fire, even despite the trials and things that we've dealt with. The Lord is still with us, and He's definitely with me. I feel so confident that He has just, prepared me for this season, and He's going to continue to, work in the youth. Like He's so good. So I'm thankful. There's so much more I could share, I feel, but that's probably the main. I mean, there's definitely students that are coming to know the Lord, and it's just we're creating a very warm culture down there, and so that's great. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Allison, for doing that work. So grateful that you've been such a faithful, stable part of that ministry, really bringing those kids along and ministering to their families as well. So grateful for you and what you're doing. Philip is in charge of communications and other jobs as assigned by the pastor, right? And so
I'll do whatever you tell me.
So Philip is got some things to share with you about our communications. So Philip, tell us
Sure.
what's up.
So I really want to share and encourage you guys that if you want to keep up with what's going on at the church, which I know you do, then midweek update, it's an email. And if we do not have your email address correct or you're not getting those, please let us know. Also, our social media, some of you are on Facebook, some of you are on Instagram. That's great. We're trying to hit those areas really well and be consistent in that. But we also have our website. So the new worship guide that we brought out, that has some information on ways to connect with the church. Also, it's got information about the upcoming events where there's a QR code or a link there to be able to go and check out the website to see what all's going on. But the main thing we want to do is to make sure you're connected, informed of what's going on. And then we want you to engage in it. So if you see something and it encourages you to connect with one of these guys and say, hey, I want to serve in that area, please get with us and let us know because we really want to serve you guys. As an encouragement, we do have a good audience on our social media as well as our live stream. Since COVID, the live stream really kicked up in COVID because everybody was at home. But since then, it has maintained, and a lot of that's due to the fact that it got some traction there, so people knew it was going to be there every week. And so when people are out of town, they still connect that way. A lot of our homebound stay connected that way. So we just want to encourage you. Thank you for giving in those areas so that we could provide these services to you guys. So that's about it for me. Just wrap it up short and move right along.
Okay, well, thanks. A lot of the momentum the church can build is because they know what's going on, and thank you for doing your best to help us know what's going on.
Got a great team.
You do have a great team. So thanks, Philip. We want to hear from Brian, Rec Ministry, and we took a vote, and it was close, but we decided to trust him with the microphone for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think I regret that decision more than you guys do. But yeah, it's been a good year so far. One of the things I find the most joy in is being able to engage every age group of the church. And I can honestly say, folks will say to me all the time how much they appreciate everybody and how they've been cared for in their ministry areas. And so just want to say how grateful I am to you and how well you're loving the church in your areas across the board. And when I think about recreation ministry, I think about engagement, community engagement. When I look at what we've done so far, whether it's kids basketball or pickleball or ski trip or just the day-to-day use, it's the community engagement. It's our folks engaging with those outside of these walls. What was encouraging to me was with our kids basketball league, 85% of our participants were not from Immanuel. 85%. That is a massive number. And at the end of the season, as you know, if you've been a part of Immanuel for any amount of time, we want to be intentional with that and share the gospel with those participants. And so that final Saturday, we share the gospel with over 1,000 people. So that's the players, that's the parents, that's the siblings. It's a lot. And we had 78 kids raise their hands and say, hey, you know what? I want to follow Jesus. Now, not all 78 of those made that decision, but what that tells you is 78 folks came that much closer to following Jesus. And so that's something that we want to praise the Lord for with that. With pickleball, same thing. We've got 94 participants with that. We have 34 folks not engaged with Immanuel participating in that. So that's our members inviting folks to come do something they enjoy, to build those relationships and to leverage those relationships for gospel purposes. So encouraged about that as well. And then lastly, I'll be brief because this side of the room talked a lot.
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Yeah, it was wisdom. And my wisdom is saying wrap it up. But with our men's ministry, I've been tasked with getting that kick started. And we did a men's prayer breakfast about a month ago. We had 75 men come and pray for the church. You, as staff, submitted requests for that. And not all of you were able to attend, sorry ladies, but what was encouraging to me was hearing the men pray for you individually, specifically as individuals, but then also as your ministry area. And what was encouraging to me was at cleanup, only 5 of those prayer prompts were left, which tells me that they took them with them. And I have to trust that those men are still praying for you and your needs and your concerns and lifting you up. So I was very encouraged by that. And church, thank you for being so faithful to lift your staff up in prayer.
Thanks, Brian. Really good stuff. And thanks for, in your role, kind of being the face of Immanuel to much of the city who engages the front door is your ministry.
Well, we're in trouble if I'm the face.
Well, we've talked about that, but we're trusting God with that, and you're doing a great job. Thank you so much for doing that and for loving the stranger and the new person and whoever God sends in through that ministry. Well, children are so important, always have been to Immanuel. Some of you watching this grew up in this church. You spent your childhood in Immanuel Baptist Church, and we are so blessed to have Carrie and Katie watching over our kids, engaging their parents and their families and their volunteers. They are doing a great job. Kids, my experience is that kids not only are engaging, with y'all in Sunday school and all that, but they are attentive in worship. I've had several kids come up to me after a service and say, "Oh, I like that sermon." Kids, listen, I don't think I heard one sermon when I was growing up. I was in church every Sunday. So that's really, really impressive. That comes because of the foundation y'all are laying for preschoolers and children. So tell us some things that God is doing, some things He's accomplishing down there.
Well, and listening to y'all talk, I feel like children's ministry is what it is because of all of that. I mean, Ross started talking about baptisms, and one of the things I wanted to share was we've had 15 kids' baptisms in the past 6 to 8 months. And that is not because of what's happening solely in kids ministry. It's because of family discipleship. It's because of Nerf Wars. New Christian class, Brian leads that and does a great job. And it's strategic. It's after VBS. It's after basketball camp. And I know different churches put emphasis on baptism differently. Like, some churches baptize kids more than others. And I know here, family discipleship is something we talk about a lot. And so we want the home to be the place where they're really fleshing that out before you see in front of the church a baptism. And so to see 15 baptisms in the past 8 months means there's a lot of work that has gone into things. So thank y'all for all the ways you contribute to that. And the hope is, Allison, that this 5th grade group that's wrapping up, that you're going to get attentive listeners, ones that are wanting to learn and grow in their faith. And it's a big deal. So we've seen a lot of answered prayer, my personal prayer, and the kids' team, everyone that serves, which is almost all legacy. So I call them the Blue Bloods. Okay, they're...
Yeah, one of the things I didn't say earlier that Tazra, that you and Katie gave me some names of families to pass on to some of our older adults for prayer, and I've still got some of those left. But I'm still wanting to give those to other people to pray for our children and our preschoolers and their families. So and they've been so excited as I've visited in their homes, or if they're in a facility or something and they can't be here, they can pray, and they're prayer warriors, and they love the opportunity to pray for those children and preschool families, and they're excited when they see these baptisms because they've been a part of that.
Yeah, and just seeing the full circle of that, like how prayer plays a role. Because in kids ministry, we talk about it all the time. We want kids to know God, to be able to articulate the gospel first. They can say it, but then we realize that there's conviction of sin and there's a work God does. And then they know God, and then they grow to love Him, and then they grow to serve Him. So even thinking about missions, and there's such a heavy emphasis in kids on missions, encouraging families, family discipleship, to go to Scott, my husband and I are strategy leaders for Las Vegas, Favor City Church that we partner with. and we're encouraging families, hey, take your older kids, go serve. And so seeing the holistic part, I mean, that is, I don't want to say an anomaly in the local church, but it is really awesome to watch it. And it really keeps all of us humble because we realize we don't do anything on our own, that we shoulder it together. So Journey to the Cross was another example. You want to talk about Journey to the Cross? I don't want to hog all the things. Okay. You can talk about VBS, which is coming, and we need you, by the way. All these people contribute to. I don't ever feel alone. I feel like, anyway, that's just thank y'all for serving. Y'all model to me what the church is. So, Journey to the Cross, you may have noticed we did not do an egg hunt, and that was strategic and on purpose. There's a lot of places and organizations that can do a lot of things, but the church is unique, and we have a unique message. And I just think all the time about Paul preached Christ crucified. Not a lot of eloquent words. He said he didn't come with that. He just preached Christ crucified. And so knowing that that's our story, Easter, Journey to the Cross, it was intended to be a family event, and it was. It was awesome. We told the story in what felt like a powerful way for, someone that, like my papa, Stephen. He really did take. If y'all missed Journey to the Cross, you missed the thespian
I do
on
have
display.
a funny story about that.
What?
But are we okay on time? Okay, so we're in that room. I thought we could read off the binder or something, and then it's like seconds before, I'm like in the cross room. Okay, I don't know if you came, if you were able to come to it. It was an amazing event, but I thought, okay, we could. I thought I was in a different room, and then that morning I'm like, oh, okay, so I can just read off the binder, right? This is gonna be great. And then, moments before the first of 10, and then how many groups kept growing. It's like, okay, just one more anyway. But we're about to start, and I've got the binder, and then Carrie says, "Okay, put that binder away. They're coming." And I'm like, "What? We're supposed to memorize it?" And I don't know if that was
were we
supposed to memorize it?
I said, just feel it.
Okay, just
and
feel it.
What was your character?
Oh, no.
You created a character.
Simon of Cyrene carrying the cross.
It was amazing.
It was a God thing,
anointed.
but it took me back to my high school theater days. It was a lot of fun. And actually, I was going to mention this. It's not my turn yet, but sorry, Katie, you're just kind of skipping. But we'll say that was one of the most worshipful. People think worship happens, on Sunday morning, when really what we do is a response to everything we just talked about. We just sing based on all the God stories that we just were, talking about. But we're there in that room. Our intern Brandon, is in there. He started off, singing this. Were you there at the cross? Really dramatic moment, and then it was so worshipful. And then he got sick that kind of that weekend, wasn't able to sing on Sunday, and he was so bummed. And I said, hey, more ministry, I think, happened in that room than maybe even happened on the platform that Sunday. It was so cool seeing just all these, and a lot of different ages too in those rooms.
And we had, sorry, Allison Bennett's down here. We threw, I think, 2 or 3 baptisms on her the next day, because there were kids that had been, walking with their parents for a long time, and they were like, tomorrow is my day. I will be baptized. So anyway, a lot of fruit is still coming out of that. Is that?
That's good. That's great. Thank you for telling us about that. Katie, you're going to talk about VBS and preschool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Preschool has always been important to our family because my wife was born to be a preschool worker.
And she is here.
A 2-year-old teacher. And whatever else kid needs help. So thank you for letting her get involved with you guys down there.
We, our church, I was thinking about, I've been praying for a couple years that the Lord would help me to be steadfast in prayer, watchful in it with thanksgiving. But recently I've been adding to that, that I would see where he's answering prayers. And so I think that baby room is one of those places that there's women like Dana and Holly Tidball and Angela Martin and Ruth Pennyman who faithfully every Sunday morning during Sunday school rock those babies. And y'all know our church has really been entrusted with a lot of women who have been blessed to have babies and healthy babies. We as a church have walked with women in loss, women as they've been praying to get pregnant and still are. But also there's a lot of babies that have been raised or being raised in this church, and just what a gift that's been to us. But also in that the Lord is providing people to serve those families in our preschool ministry. And so I've just been really thankful. We, preschool wise, are at a point where our rooms are getting pretty full, which is really fun. Easter Sunday was a party on the preschool hall. I told y'all. We had this idea that we would give all the kids like half of a donut in a donut hole so they could like have a little empty tomb with a donut hole, which was a really great idea in January. But on Easter Sunday morning, when there was like 25 kindergartners in a classroom, it was a party, which was really fun. But the Lord is really just entrusting a lot of young families to this church. And I know it's because of people who are praying that the Lord will still bless us in that way. And I'm really grateful for that. When we get to school starting back, are going to get to open some new preschool rooms back open that we closed. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. And already we're praying towards who will be those faithful, steady people to serve in those places. And so I'm thankful for that. And so also VBS, like we were talking about, it's coming up. It's going to be here very, very soon, which we're excited about. Also, I think the Lord, it's a big thing to pray towards because it takes a whole lot of people to pull off VBS. I think we're about halfway there with volunteers. And so I yesterday got to sit with a legacy couple who wanted to serve. And so we got to walk through, our church, we are choosing and making who we are, that we're doing caring well policies. And there's a lot of steps to serve, but it's good. It's good for our church. It's good for our city. And so in that I got to sit with them while they did the 5 steps to serve. And it was the sweetest time with them. It made my whole day yesterday. But then this morning I had a young adult, a single 20-year-old woman who was like, I want to take off the week of VBS and serve our church. Like, let me take vacation time. And so VBS is this event in our church that from the youngest babies to our legacy members, we all get to be a part of sharing the gospel in our city with kids. And it's such a gift. And we all get to play a part in that. But y'all can pray with us that the Lord will provide people to serve. But I think also just already stir in the hearts of kids and families a desire to know the Lord, that maybe this would be a church home that they want to trust and be a part of. It's a really fun week, and we're just really excited. And so we have a new theme this year, camping. I'm not a camper. I don't think Carrie's a camper either. It's not how we live our lives, but
Open to glamping.
Glamping, y'all could send us to do, and it'd be so fun for us. But
this week we're going to be campers.
We're going to be campers.
Fanny
and about
packs,
the outdoors.
trucker hat.
It's going to be good.
We're ready.
So anyway, we're really excited. And thank our church, the resources and all the people that make it happen. We couldn't do it without our church family. So we're really thankful for that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for helping lead the way in the children's ministry. And they're always looking for capable volunteers. It's a way to invest in a life. And when I'm telling you, when those kids are old, just like some of you are watching this now, you still can call the name of 2 or 3 of those children's workers that gave their lives that poured their lives into yours. So maybe you could become that for some other kid in this young generation. But thank you guys for what you're doing. Stephen Curry leads our worship ministry. He's a familiar face because you see him every Sunday on the platform leading choir and all of us in worship. Tough being a music minister. I'm not sure, Stephen, if any position in the church gets more counsel and advice than a music minister. But I appreciate your pastoral heart in the way you deal with people within your ministry and in the congregation in general. And I appreciate the way you lead us in ministry. There are times on Sunday when I think like Isaiah, I think you really do see the Lord high and lifted up in his temple. And then that helps us see him too. So you tell us how God's working in the music.
I appreciate that. I don't know. People say that that's hard, but I just I picture my job though like taking the hand of this generation, whatever that is, and then taking the hand of this generation and just holding them together and just bringing them here, but then we go up, and it's like we're all coming together. Someone one time had a quote. I can't remember who said it as well, but there's this famous quote. I think it's John Piper. Hopefully, can look it up right now. Open a new tab.
I'm sure we'll have some fact checkers.
But
do what? Right now. I'm sure we'll have some fact checkers.
Yes, the fact checkers are on the line now. But anyway, the sound of different voices, different age groups, different generations singing together is a more glorious sound than even the greatest harmony of just one group that just is all the same. We're a very diverse church in a lot of different ways, and multi-generationally is probably one of the biggest ways that we're diverse. And it was amazing. I mean, this is worship right here, not just what we do on Sunday mornings. I love this room. We have a lot of fun on Sundays, but just hearing Allison, Gary, and Alan, y'all talk about just the way that the generations are coming together, even just like the youth group and legacy. I've seen that happen in real time just over now, I guess, going on 3 years here in the worship ministry. The choir, we want to see every age group, just all different types of walks of life. And that naturally happens. They usually say a choir is just a good you have people who serve in kids and preschool and legacy and students and media. Just everybody is kind of up there. Yeah, sure, we'd love to see that thing packed out, but honestly, we're having a really great time right now in the music ministry. All different age groups. Even I think this past Sunday we had a lot of students just leading worship alongside the adults for Senior Sunday, and so that's more of the vision as well. But I think the fact that we have one service right now, just all different age groups, people meeting each other for the first time when maybe they've been at the church for 30 years, but maybe separated in two different services, two different styles, because our worship is more than a song; it's more than a sound. And we do a whole bunch of different types of songs, here. And so I'm so inspired by y'all. This has been worship right here, just hearing how God is working in our church and working in all the different ministries. I hope y'all know too, Sunday morning, every song that we sing is usually in response to some sort of story that we've been talking about in staff meeting. I mean, even now, songs are just it's always a constant. I can't turn it off. I sometimes want to, but our worship is response to what God, who He is and what He has done and everything that He's done. So I just hope I've been encouraged. I'm about to cry by what you've been hearing, because this is pretty much all. This is about what staff meeting is every week. Just sharing. And John, I love that you've kind of brought that to staff meetings. He just says, what did you see Sunday? How did you see God moving? Not just, the second song was bad, or something like that. It's been so encouraging, just like opening our eyes to how is God moving. And Sunday, we respond with all that we have, with our voices, to what He's been doing. So,
Well, thank you, Stephen, so much for your leadership. Mark grew up in the church, so this is more than a job to him. Came on board like a few of us up here is an interim, but has served in ways that you've had to go into the deep water, maybe more than a lot of us have, with some of the issues that have, and that's a tough place to be. But I'm glad you packed your wetsuit and you're keeping your oxygen tank full, and you're helping us get where we need to go in ways that people don't see, in ways that happen in meeting rooms and in personal conversations. So thank you for leading us as our exec pastor. I count it a joy and a privilege to work alongside you in that role. And tell us sort of what you're seeing from your perspective, what God's doing.
Yeah, thanks, John, because it's really been a joy. I hope, church, what you're seeing is folks that really deeply love Jesus. And all of us, and it's been a real joy to work with you, but all of us have a passion to see disciples made, have a passion to see us all center our lives around Christ. And so that does lead to a lot of work, and we've had a hard road. And I want to tell you, this staff is really, the additions that the Lord has brought to help make it happen, are connecting to one another. And as Stephen mentioned, just even in staff meetings, just encouraging each other. And the gift of John to really bring, he even said early in, one of the things that the Lord's gifted you with and staff or as a leader is to bring joy. And so we as a church staff want to exhibit that. We want to experience that. We want all of Jesus that we can get. And then we want that for you. And so that's part of why we work as hard as we do. and doing all the things. And I just want to do just note to the church the shout out of how many things that you're hearing in stories and from individuals who really, that's not necessarily a part of their job description. That duties as assigned by the pastor, that has been a real thing here for the last year plus. But we've done it with joy. I know this group really is awesome to work with. And we are here to serve Jesus, and we're here to serve you. And so I just, as the executive pastor, I did have several areas that I wanted to just highlight. I won't take but a minute, but we learned about the amazing things that God did through you to meet our financial needs at the end of the year. Well, that gave so much peace coming into 25. And so for us to be able to continue in that momentum, you've been faithful to give, so thank you. It's allowed us to do a lot of these things that we're talking about. So grateful for that. The student pastor hire, that was a massive win. We're so excited for Andy to join our staff and come alongside Allison and really help us minister to our students and to the student families. So that was a huge win. Grateful for everybody and the leaders in our church that stepped up into that. One of the things that we really wanted to do last year, our Go ministry, a lot of our teams didn't make. So that was a priority. And so I can tell you, we've already sent a team to South Asia. Tremendous fruit that came out of that. That's really helping some significant work. Allison was a part of that, her family. That was really cool. Talking about ministering to the next generation. But that was a massive win in the work that happened there. But also, we've got 3 teams going out this summer: Brazil, Peru, and Rwanda. And all those teams are full. And so we've got folks going. And we have trips coming up in the fall. And our response is, or what we're hearing is, those teams probably will be full as well. So this church has a heart for God's heart for the nations. And so that's being exhibited by faithfulness to go. And so I'm just really grateful for that. And the city center, we haven't talked a lot about that, but wow, we've got over 100 volunteers that work every Tuesday, just about, and ultimately to serve those in need in our community. And so many family units are being affected by that. So that is that and the dental clinic that happens through the city center, as well as the clothing closet, and how that building is being used to minister into the city is amazing. So we do want to highlight that. We're the operating committee for the city center is a newly formed group, and they've really been active and proactive. So really grateful for them. So that's awesome. And I was really pleased that we've got D groups relaunched, I should say. A lot of more work to do with those groups, but I'm so excited about the trajectory. The goal is we want to help folks grow in spiritual maturity and relationship with Jesus. And for us to be a part of that is awesome. So that was really a highlight for me so far this year. And then the last thing, the Caring Well initiative. I mean, we've really done a great job of implementing a foundation that we're going to build upon. So there's more to come with that. But I just to know that our children are protected, and we want to minister to those who have been affected by abuse and other trauma. And just the fact that we're just going to love people really, really well when they walk in this space and our spheres of influence. So we just really love Jesus. We love you, church, and we love working together to serve both of you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your steady leadership across these last many months. I'm wondering, Philip, we didn't talk about this, but what if each one of us told the church one prayer request, one thing that the church could be praying for us in our ministry? Right now, let me start so you can be thinking about that, and we'll just do this quickly. Is that all right, around the horn here? Pray for the team that's going to be recommending to you a pastor search committee. Really important. And pray that they will be sensitive to the Holy Spirit, that all personal agendas get put aside, and that our only agenda is who does Jesus want on that committee. Because this I know, no matter who's on that committee, Jesus can do what Jesus wants to do. And so we're going to trust him to do that and use the committee in that process. So obviously, being an interim pastor, I have a vested interest in getting that going. But pray for them. And we think sometime in May, late May maybe, they'll be bringing the recommendation to you for your approval, your vote. So keep them in your prayers, daily prayers. Pray for unity, pray for a one mind and one spirit as they do their work. And we'll be excited to see what God's gonna do through what they're doing right now. So that'd be a prayer request. And I said to be short, and that was a little long. But Mark, let's just start down there and work our way around.
Yeah, I think often when folks ask that question, and by the way, many of you do, comment that you're praying for me and all of us up here, the staff. So I'm really grateful for that. But I'm going to say the same thing I always ask for, and that's wisdom. I really want the Lord's wisdom in all actions. But I also want to be filled with the Spirit. Everything we do, John made the point with this pastor search committee, it is about discerning the will of the Lord. And so that happens through an abiding walking with Jesus. And so there's always a battleground for the mind that ultimately affects the heart. So that's protection there, and discernment, but wisdom.
I would say pray for humility for me. I think, the music ministry is one of the most visible ministries just by nature of what we do. And I know everyone else's ministry, it sometimes is more kind of behind the scenes, and you're empowering and equipping leaders. And so humility for me, for leaders up here, and then also we have Brandon, our intern as well, who many of you have gotten to know. We have another intern from Washita. His name is Justin, who's going to come in. He's awesome. He's been the church pianist at his church since he was 8 years old. All hymns. Some of you are like, amen. He did shape notes, if you know what that is. Heavenly Highway. And so we got Brandon, and then we've got Justin, and they are like polar opposites and everything. But we do a lot of different things here. And John, you said one time we're like a sending church. We send go teams. We've had a lot of interns just over the years come through here and go on to do ministry. And so if you can just remember them, Brandon and Justin from Washita, that the Lord would do a work in their lives as they're here, and for humility for us as we lead on Sundays.
I think for me and for preschool, I've been praying that the Lord will increase my faith, and so. And the fact that He will continue to provide people to serve, provide families for our church to serve. I think those are always the two biggest things preschool wise. And then Mark talked about the go trips, but I'm going on the Amazon mission trip in a couple weeks. You can pray for me. And so I know that is a step of obedience, but I'm not outdoorsy. And it's going to be great. But I really just feel like the Lord is asking me to pray that He would continue to increase my faith and to trust Him, and that He'll provide. And so I know in all of those areas He's working on me. So
I'd say, just in a single word, the prayer point for kids, I'd say outreach. Something we talk about all the time in kids ministry is, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the ends of the earth. And those outer ones are sometimes easier than the Jerusalem. And so specifically, I think about, just this morning, Immanuel fed breakfast to the teachers at Terry Elementary across the way. And, Lindsay, who was here a while back, she had her kids there. And so there was a very visible representation of Immanuel that was constant. I think she was president, or you were president of the PTA, or
I think I was
vice president.
Maybe.
Anyway, so just keeping that, there's a new principal there who's awesome. Spent some time with her this morning. Katie knows her. Just that relationship we have. One of the city center things Mark didn't mention is the tutoring program that the city center does. Tiffany Smith does an incredible job with that, and it's a lot of retired teachers and people that make that happen. We grew, doubled. So there's lots of opportunity, but the prayer really is that it would be meaningful connection, and it wouldn't just be, the prayer is, what does meaningful outreach look like to our Jerusalem?
Yeah, and appreciate you throwing the wrench in there, John, and making me think on the fly. But I would say wisdom, like Mark said, discernment, wanting to do what the Lord wants instead of maybe what's easy or comfortable with that. But just wisdom, discernment, and then just the obedience to follow where that leading is.
I've found that I've been praying for people just to be saved and come to our church and be baptized. The Lord's really put that request on my heart as of late, and maybe just sparked by some of the decisions we've seen also. And then I think maybe one particular thing, I mentioned it, but we're looking at a college initiative this summer. Some college students are really feeling mobilized and equipped or how to lead themselves. And so just praying for them to make connections and lead out and for students to be connected.
I think there would be a couple of things that I would mention. One is, of course, our legacy adults. Many of them are going through really life-challenging periods in their lives. And so we always want to be praying for those that are going through those times. Another thing, while we focused on caring well with our legacy adults, one of the things I have really wanted to develop there is really loving well. And most of our legacy adults love each other well. But my real heart is that we would know how to love the community well, love those who are not a part of us well. And that ties in with what some of the others of you have already said, is that, we can have a good time together, but we want to have a lot more people to have a good time in the Lord together. So that's been my prayer, is that we would know how to love those who are not a part of us well.
Good, Gary. Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo what Brian said. Thanks, John, for throwing us in the deep end of the pool like this with short notice. I think we Christians like to beat our chests about how we search for the will of God. God, show me your will. But my mentor taught me that often what we really mean by that is one of two things. God, give me what I want, because I've already decided what I want. Or we mean, God, show me what you want so that I can decide whether or not I want to do it. I think we are at a place in the life of this church where my prayer would be that all of the church search for and be willing to do the will of God, wherever that might lead, even if that leads me to a place where I'm not particularly comfortable, or maybe already have some innate prejudice against it. I think all of our age groups have to learn tradition is not necessarily good, but it is also not necessarily bad. And so as a body, we need to forget about that word. We need to ask for God's best. And even if it leads us to a place we don't think we would embrace, grant us the grace to do that. And I'll go way on a limb here and say that is not a prayer directed at legacy. I think the folks with the little gray in their hair have the wisdom to see that that's the best way to operate. So it's not just for the legacy folks. It's for all of us. Amen. Show me where to go, God, even if it's where I think I don't want to go. Grant me the courage and the grace to follow you there.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan. Good word for all of us. I remember hearing Haddon Robinson one time say, when you take from the altar of tradition, make sure you take the fire and not the ashes.
Amen. That's great. Amen.
That's a good word that I think about a lot, especially in churches like Immanuel or First Hot Springs that are established, traditional, old in terms of history. So thank you for reminding us of that. Allison?
My biggest prayer, I think, throughout this transition, when Bill Newton came on as our interim student pastor, and it was, kind of just two of us, I guess, and Hannah, our administrative assistant, who's been an all-star, is just that the Lord would rest his hand of protection on the youth. Because student ministry, they are foolish. They're going to mess up. They're going to commit probably really grievous sins. I mean, teenage years, those are hard. And so my prayer is just that the Lord would rest his hand on these students, that if and when they do mess up, we have the wisdom and how to disciple them back to the Lord. And that feels so daunting. And if we get any bigger, which I think we will, I think we're going to grow. And I just pray that the Lord will provide the people, which he already has, like the group we have now. We have just the right amount of students I feel that we can manage to disciple well, and I want to be able to continue to do that as we grow. So that's my prayer, just the Lord's protection, and that he will guide, Andy and myself and Hannah and the student team just to be able to disciple them well as we grow.
Okay, thank you, Allison. A good prayer. And of course, praying for Andy as he comes on board. Andy and Amy, keep them in your prayers. You'll be seeing them on board here in another week or so. I'm thinking when you were talking about the sins of youth, that wonderful prayer in the Psalms when the psalmist prays, remember not the sins of my youth. Remember me, Lord.
That's encouraging. Thank you.
Philip, any prayer request?
Well, I would just kind of echo a little bit about what's been said. Effective outreach and loving our community. We really want what we're doing in communications through social media and just everything that we're a part of in helping get the word out about things. We want people that aren't connected to Immanuel to see this and go, there's stuff going on there. I may not even know what it really is.
Good stuff.
So yeah, we just want to pray that God will, reach those people and help them to get connected. And maybe they see the live stream or something like that as an on-ramp, and then they got oh, you know what? I need to go check that out. So that's what we'd like to pray for.
Well, thank you, and thank you for watching. This will be in various venues and in various slices. So I want to say again a word of appreciation to you for giving the tithes and offerings that allow us to do our work, and then at the same time equip you to be a part of that very same work. We've been working as a staff on staff culture. We've worked through some things of kind of trying to establish that. And I just want to say that every one of these folks on the platform are fully engaged and anxious to work with you and join you in serving the Lord through Immanuel Baptist Church.